Hey, it's Ashley from Westcott, and today I'm taking you guys behind the scenes with me as I do a photo shoot. In this shoot, I'm going to get 3 completely different looks. I'm going to walk you through and let you know exactly what I'm thinking as I'm shooting. So before I get shooting, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. That way you can be the first to know when we post new videos. So for this first look, I wanted to create something really clean and classic. And I really like monochromatic photos. They're actually one of my favorite things to shoot. So for the shoot, I wanted to go for a blue look. And I put my model in a turtleneck and a blue background. And to kind of tie in that blue makeup, put a little bit of blue right in the corner of her eyes. For the most part, I wanted the makeup to be like very warm and very natural. Kind of like a beauty headshot. Now when I'm working with a makeup artist, I always make sure to give them as many mood boards as I can. I always start with a mood board of the look overall. I start with a hair mood board and a makeup mood board. That way they know exactly what I'm thinking and they can get on the same page as me. So it's really important to find a makeup artist that you trust. In this case, I've worked with Amy many times before, so I know I can just give her a mood board and she can run with it. I like to give my makeup artists a lot of creative freedom. This way they can actually give me input on what they think would look best for the model's face, and they actually can come up with a lot of more creative ideas than I can sometimes. Good job, good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Congrats on your face. Thank you.
So since I wanted to keep the image very clean and simple, I decided to use only one light. And that way you guys can see what is capable with just one light. So for the lighting, I started with an FJ400. And since I wanted a super clean, soft look, I modified it with a 53-inch deep umbrella with the white interior. I also added that diffusion factor to add a little extra softness to my photo. Since I wanted my light in a butterfly position, I actually used a shorty arm instead of a boom arm. It's going to offset the light just slightly, that way you have enough room to shoot underneath of it. And this is kind of instead of a boom arm in case you don't have room in your studio or you just kind of don't want the complexity of having a boom. Okay, you're going to be like right, so like this is kind of like pointing at your nose.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yes.
So if you look here, the catch lights look really good, which is one of the main things I look at in photos. But if she were to lower her chin any, you'd lose that catch light. So I think I wanted to lower the light just a little bit, just to have more range of motion. So looking at this photo, my eyes instantly go to like her chest area because it's the brightest part and the shirt's getting a little blown out. So I'm going to feather the light up a little bit just to bring that hot spot up further. I'm tilting a light. Ta-da! Let's take one test shot. So if you look at our light placement compared to our model, you'll actually notice that the center of the light, which is going to be the brightest, is actually aimed just above her head. This is going to help us feather the light and get more of that light off of her shirt. Let's try it like about like here. We'll see if you like the darker background and the lighter background. I'm gonna bring this about the same. Yeah, I like the lighter better. So I wasn't liking how dark the background was compared to our model in her sweater. So I actually brought her and the modifier closer to the background. That way the light would light both the background and her, and we're gonna get a much lighter background out of it. So now that I got my lighting exactly where I want it, I can focus on things like composition and how my model is posing instead of my lighting setup. So something I want to mention is I always start with my easiest look first. That way me and the model can communicate back and forth and there's not as much lighting gear in the way. So it kind of creates more of a connection with the model that's going to help you throughout the day. Now we can shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be like here up, so like
Okay.
nothing in the legs.
Serious?
More playful. Playful.
Do you want faces or no?
We can do faces.
I got you.
And then it's a pretty like even light, so you can kind of just do any range of motion with your face.
Okay.
Play the turtleneck a little bit, all that fun stuff.
Sounds good.
Yep. I would do more like the arms down, just because it's more like here up and then I have to frame out further. Yep. Do some like shoulders straight to me, and then kind of like chin, kind of like very stoic, like long neck. Yep. And then you have like a little wrinkle in your turtleneck right there. I always like to look out for things in clothing and like hair that kind of like get out of place during the shoot. Like her turtleneck was folded a little weird, so I kind of let her know, kind of like readjust that so that the photos turn out good. Do you like the one where your hands are like, yep. And then chin up, yep. Oh, that's pretty. Can you see him? Yeah. Or is the umbrella in the way? Like that one's pretty. We do some horizontals. And this one kind of like hands, kind of the same. Yep. It's a little bit wider than the first one, so I can kind of. Yeah, like that. Oh, you were doing it like super serious, stoic, like elegant. I know those like totally felt like just adjectives in general. Do some like the shoulders kind of turn and kind of like, yep. And chin up with this one. Yep. So when working in studio, I always like to tether. That way not only I can see the image, but the model can also see the image and kind of get a vibe and a mood of the photo. It also allows me to see really fine details in the photo and make sure I'm like focusing correctly. And that way, like I know I'm getting a good photo in the end. When shooting in studio, I like to use a 24-105 lens. I like the ability to be able to zoom in and out really quickly. That way I can reframe the photo super quick. I also tend to shoot around f4 or 5.6. That way I'm getting a lot of detail throughout the whole photo and not just in her eyes. Go crazy with it. Like, I got you. You ready? Okay. Do you like some like pulling turtleneck? Yep. Let's do some of these horizontal. You do like one that's like just tucked in, like kind of like that's kind of cool. Kind of like just like one finger, like don't pull, just tuck. Yep. And then like do like super long, like chin up. Very like, and maybe like mess up the turtleneck a little bit so it's not like, as perfect. That makes sense? I'm like, as it's a turtleneck and it's always perfect. Yeah, nothing's changed.
Okay,
It's fine. Which is 90.
early. See.
And then like neck's super tall, like. So my camera settings for the shot are around ISO 100 at 1/200 second at f4. And these are usually my typical camera settings for in studio. They usually vary a little bit depending on the look, but these are usually around the ballpark. And I usually like to set my camera first and then bring in the light second. I can adjust the power output instead of adjusting my camera. So the power settings for the FJ400 is 1 through 9, and I'm at 4.7, which is a little under half. Of course, these settings can change based off the modifier and the distance to your subject, but these are just some factors you have to consider. We just finished up that first look, and since there's a one light setup, it was super simple. There's only a few things I had to tweak throughout the shoot. First of all, the background was too dark when I first started, so I made sure to move everything closer to the background. Also, I made sure to tilt that light and raise it higher. That way you get more of the catch light and it kind of move the light off of her sweater onto her face. So now we're going to get into the second setup, which is going to be a little bit more stylized and a little bit more complicated, but still only using one light. So now that I got the second look set up, I'm going to talk about the inspiration behind the photo. I was scrolling online and found a photo that a photographer had done where he placed a floral applique in the model's hair. And it's got me thinking how cool it would be if the applique was going down her neck and down her collarbone, kind of like it was growing onto her skin and becoming part of her. So I wanted to keep with the monochromatic feel and kind of do this red on red tone. But I didn't want super soft lighting like the last time. I wanted more contrasty, sharper highlights and shadows, more crisp look to my model. That way it'd be more dramatic with the lighting and not as soft and clean as the first look. So as far as gear, I wanted to change that background out to a red background. I also wanted to bring in a Zepplin deep parabolic softbox. That'll give me the light I'm looking for. Just like with the last photo, I'm using the FJ400, but this time I'm mounting it inside my modifier. Since the Zepplin has an arm that can retract in and out, it creates a very versatile light modifier. I want to go into a little bit more detail about the Zepplin. It is actually a deep parabolic softbox and has 16 rods, so you get this really great deep circular shape out of it. Now there's two ways you can mount your light in this. You can either get an arm and mount it inside, or you can actually mount it to the back, which would be right in here. Then the advantage of mounting it inside on the pole is you can actually change the distance in the light inside the modifier to to get completely different looks. So when it's closer into the modifier, it can get more directional light out of it. Where if it's further away, it's going to fill more of the modifier and get a softer look. So you actually get multiple different looks out of the softbox. So I chose to use a Zepplin because I wanted more contrast and specularity in my highlights. When we compare it to the shot before with the very soft, natural look of the white umbrella with the diffusion, this is going to give me more contrast and more definition in the highlights and shadows. So for the styling of the photo, like I mentioned, I wanted those floral appliques kind of creeping up her neck and collarbone. But I think I'm also going to add some flowers into her hair to kind of tie those together. Now for the makeup, I wanted to keep it simple. And I didn't want too much red going on, so I decided to keep a neutral eye, but with a red lip.
Are you thinking this with the red lace, or?
The red lace would be next. Yeah, the red with the red lace.
Okay, so like we're thinking like red lip with this.
And we have a red background, so it can be very, I love monochromatic. Can you tell?
No, we're just doing monochrome all day.
We're doing monochrome all day.
And then
I love
did you
monochrome.
have a preference? Like,
I was
most
thinking
of these eyes are neutral, but did you want to?
I was
incorporate
thinking
red into
either
the eye?
red eye or red lip, like one or the other.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go like
She has really great lips, so I'm like more inclined to
Okay.
do that. But
Okay.
totally up to you.
I'm gonna, you think lips, because
Okay. I'll kind of like, I'll remove like the blue and kind of like make her eye a little bit more like neutrally. And then we'll save the lip. And then do you want me to do the lace like right before camera?
if we think that's best, then yes. So as far as light placement, I wanted to place the FJ400 in the Zepplin and kind of feather it. That way I'm not directly hitting my model, and that way I can kind of control how much light's in the background. I then raised it up and angled it, that way the shadows will be falling down instead of like straight across. Kind of create a more flattering shape to her face. Let's take a test shot with this. Riley, yep. Just. And as you can see, the shadows are pretty dark here. A little bit darker than I normally would like, so I'm going to bring in a reflector just to help brighten up the shadows. And I'm going to try it with the silver. It might be a little bit too much, but you never know until you try. And I'm actually going to bring the reflector in a little bit towards the back of my model. That way it kind of acts as a hairlight a little bit too, and not just a fill. Yep, same pose. I did nothing, I didn't have it placed right. And I feather it a little bit more towards her. As you can see, it fills in the shadows. But I think it might be filling in a little bit too much because I'm kind of losing that shape of her cheekbone there. So I'm going to flip it over and shoot with the white. And for this, I'm just clamping it on directly to the light stand, so it's like super simple. And I think it looks good, so I keep shooting with this lighting. And then angle this way again. Body. Yep. So kind of like the same thing, shoulder, yep. Kind of like peeking over the shoulder. Actually, I'm gonna shoot a little bit lower. I always like to check like right when I start shooting just to make sure I'm not seeing anything I didn't see from the first angle. You're kind of like looking up like into the light almost. Yep. If you need more like move the stool up or down, just let me know. And then like kind of like lean, but like kind of like look down your shoulder. Yep. And then eyes up here. Okay. So not like leaning so much, just because I'm losing the catch light. I kind of like how you're sitting right now. Give me Fran's signature pose.
Fran's signature pose.
Yep, give me Fran's signature pose.
Well, I mean, Fran doesn't. When you have this much room.
Like, you're just my head. I'm joking. I'm joking. I like that. With your head kind of like. And go like straight onto me, and then like head like facing this way. Yep. Just a little bit to get like the wispies going like across your face, your little hair wispies. I just want to see what it looks like.
Okay.
Yep. I almost feel like I want the applique reversed. Amy, would you hate me if I like reverse the applique? Just, yeah, I want the crawlies in the back. So like rotate. Makes sense. Like this was kind of like over the shoulder.
You want it to come more like forward.
So I was thinking like just flipping it so like these are coming down her back instead of her collarbone.
Okay.
That makes sense. Only because I'm shooting more over her shoulder. So when I was shooting horizontal, I noticed that my corner was getting super dark. And what that is actually the edge of the modifier, where it's cutting off the light. So this is where the light is modifying, and then there's edge, and then like shadow. So what I did is I pulled the FJ400 in a little bit in the Zepplin so I can put a diffusion on. And it's gonna soften things a little bit. It's also gonna make it more even since it's spraying the light out a little bit more. So a few things I noticed after I put the diffusion on the front of the Zepplin is that the background's a lot more even overall, which is what I'm aiming for. Also, it's a little bit darker, which I actually like in this situation. So you can get a little bit softer light in the model, but other than that, it's pretty much about the same mood and feel of the photo. And then lastly, I think I'm gonna bring in Olivia, who's actually gonna fan our model with a piece of foam core, just to give some motion to those little wispy hairs that she has in the front of her face, and kind of add some more motion and drama. Come on, Olivia. Yeah. You're just gonna do small motions because there's not a lot of hair you have to move. And then, perfect. So remember shoulders and back? Yep. Honestly, that one was probably like really good looking. Okay. And as you can see, you can get like a little hair movement. It's gonna add some like interest to the other side of the photo. So for the camera settings, they're actually the exact same as I started with in the first setup. ISO 100, f4 at 1/200th of a second. The only thing I changed was actually the strobe power output. So since I was using a bigger modifier, I had to increase the power of my strobe. I actually increased it just a little bit to 5.5, and this was the right balance for me. So one of the things you want to make sure when using directional lighting is that the light's in the right spot. And what can help you with this is looking at things like catch light and the shadows falling from their nose under the chin, and just making sure they're flattering to your subject in the right spot. So when there was no catch light in my subject's eyes, I would lower the light, or if the background wasn't evenly lit, I'd feather it a little bit more just to make sure it's even. So all these little details add up to what makes a great photo. Now that I'm done with the second look, I'm gonna move on to the third look, and this one's gonna be the most dramatic of the three. I'm actually gonna bring in a second light, so I'm gonna use an umbrella and an optical spot, and it's gonna be some really dramatic and focused light. So I'm gonna go set that up real quick, and I'll be right back with you.
So we liked the rhinestones like incorporated into the eye.
Yes.
Do you like how they're more like spread out here? Do you like them more in like a cluster?
I think a cluster.
Okay. Do you have a preference for like
Inside,
outer,
outside?
inner, both?
I think I kind of like the inner, but I wasn't sure if that would make her look like cross-eyed.
It might become a little like alien-esque.
Yeah, which is fine, because we're going for very like dramatic lighting, like.
I think if we kept the focus, like kept it smoky out here
And then brought
the rhinestone in here, it would
Okay.
be good.
Okay.
And then as
So I
far
really
as
like this one, like how they have like a little bit of blue like right in the eyebrow. I don't know if you noticed that.
in here.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how that would look though. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Are these like the colors you're gonna be using?
Yeah,
The
so
blues and
yeah. So this is the mood board. So it's very like blue,
okay.
like very cut out shapes in the light. And then we're gonna use like a star filter, so it's gonna like do a little burst.
Do you want any glitter incorporated?
If
Or just the rhinestone?
do you have glitter?
I did bring glitter.
Okay. So the inspiration for the shoot was actually pretty simple. I just wanted to use an optical spot, since it's a really fun modifier to use. It's really unique in the fact that it can project light, so you can make these really crisp shapes and patterns with it. I'm gonna play with a few different shapes of gobo to find the one that I like the most for the shoot. Now for the makeup, it's gonna be very stylized. And I wanted something a little sparkly in there, that way I can introduce a star filter and get like little starbursts coming off of it, just to add a little bit more interest. So as you may notice, there's no background behind me. What I'm actually gonna do is use the white cyc as my background. Now, if you don't have a cyc at home, you can always use a white background. And I'm going to actually place my model further away. That way the background goes darker. Now, you might also be saying, I don't have that depth in my studio. Well, you can use a gray background for this. So for my fill light, I'm using a 53-inch white umbrella. It's actually the same white umbrella I used in the first shot. And as I put this down, you'll notice that it has a diffusion cover on it. I wanted to gel this, and I found the simplest way to gel a big umbrella like this is actually to put the reflector on it, and then just to gel the reflector. To me, this is the simplest way since you're not using gaff tape or having to worry about things falling off. It just makes a super big blue light source. So this is actually going to be my main light, an FJ400 modified by an optical spot. And what's really cool is it actually has interchangeable gobos, so I'm able to try out different shapes before I'm going to decide on one. So I'm going to start with the star, but I might switch it up through the shoot once I figure out what the hair and makeup's going to look like. So when working with an optical spot, it's actually really important for your model to stand still. So I'm going to place my model on a stool. That way she's a little bit more stabilized and kind of doesn't move around as much. Possible once we get, I don't have like Olivia. Yes. And then move back just a little bit. It's very precise. It is like an eye doctor. Don't like it going across the nose though. So turn with me. You can move, it's just very precise, so it's...
Yeah, you can move that when it's not.
Once we get going, I'm gonna have Olivia like, on like tracker duty. She's gonna be like... I think that's as close as it will like focus. Okay. When using an optical spot, it's really important to use a mine lamp. That way you know exactly where the light's going to shine. And for this, I'm actually going to bring in Olivia, who's helping us today. And I'm going to loosen this up just so she can kind of like track our model's Riley's face as she moves. And that way I not have to worry about where the light is and direct her. The light's going to be there. So Olivia, I'm just going to loosen this. There you go. And then chin up, hand like across your chest, or, yep. And just kind of keep, and then chin down. Can you bring your hands up? Yeah. This, hold it right there because the light. There's like one angle I get like shine. Chin up just a little bit more. Yeah, like that super chin. Super chin. doing like one hand up, kind of like I'm like, yep. Yeah. I like that chin up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like chin up? Like, can you raise like the shoulder up? Yep. And then the
Are you doing
more like profile. Yep. Less profile. Yeah. And then bring your other hand like up here, collarbone. Yep. So I started shooting using the star gobo, and I quickly realized it wasn't quite what I liked. I didn't quite like the line of the star was going across her nose, and I was making some weird shapes. So I started playing around with some circles, and I tested a few different circles, and I found the small one was what's working best for this situation. So since we're using multiple lights, I want to show you exactly what each light is doing. So I'm going to take a few shots, and I'm going to turn some on and off, depending on what I want to show you. So this is with them all on. Face this way just a little bit, and then chin up just a little. Perfect. And then this is with just the fill light. And this is just the optical spot. Chin up just a little bit more. Perfect. So just like with the other two shots, my camera settings are exactly the same. But what did change is my power output. So with my main light, which is the optical spot, I have it at 4. And then my fill light, which is in the umbrella, is an 8. Now changing the fill light is going to dramatically change the image. And as you can tell with the photos on the screen, as you add more fill light, the blue actually gets more lighter. So for this look, I wanted something right in the middle. Just dark enough that the blue looks very vibrant, but not dark enough we're losing any of the detail. One of the most important things you can do to ensure the day goes smoothly is pre-plan everything. I like to make mood boards. It's helped me get the style of the shoot, what kind of lighting modifiers I might use, everything from posing, and like having these mood boards really help you communicate with your team and making sure everybody's on the same page. If you guys aren't on the same page, your day won't run smoothly. Another pre-production tip is to always test your lighting, especially if you're not sure how it's going to turn out. Now, a lot of times I like to try new things just to get creative, and sometimes it doesn't work, and I don't want to figure that out on the day of the shoot. So a lot of times I'll set my lighting a day before, and that way it's ready to go and I know what I'm doing. So that's it. Those are the 3 looks. If you have any questions about the lighting or the gear used in these videos, let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.